this is the filter. So in a traditional Japanese koi pond, you would see bead filters, you would see canisters, you would see all sorts of different things. This is the filter in an aquascape ecosystem. This is a backyard paradise. You got the best of both worlds. You got the pool and you got the pond with some awesome fish, just bruisers down there. Wow. So you put bass in here and you also put some of your koi offspring?
Yeah, koi offspring are the ones that didn't make the cut. I actually had 2 that I got in Japan that just looked good enough, I think, for the show pond, so they came out here.
Welcome to living the aquascape lifestyle. So this is an incredible backyard. Right there is the pond, but it's raining. So while it's raining, we are going to hang out with the kids, right? And the dad. So talk about this, Brad, this hobby. And you were a traditional koi guy that kind of got into the Aquascape way.
That's correct, yeah. So I met Mike from AWM because I built my own pond when I was a bachelor, 20 years old. Got
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
3-tiered waterfall, I still remember it. It was awful. And I actually had to hire Mike to come fix it.
Okay, so how long ago was that?
20 years ago.
Oh, you guys have known each other that long.
Yeah,
okay.
That was before AWM. That would have been at Wild Birds. That I was working with Wild Birds at that time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is so 3 ponds later. This is what we end up with.
Okay. This is unusual because you've slowly converted to the Aquascape way from more traditional koi filtering ways. How would you describe that? Because you know this is a 5-foot deep pond, but it's filtered with a wetland. You got rock and gravel. So talk a little bit about your journey to becoming an Aquascape, ecosystem convert from a traditional koi pond.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that my original pond was my own doing, so I can tell you that was probably no way of doing it. Right?
Sure.
That was absolutely terrible. So I really don't know any other way other than the Aquascape way.
Okay.
But I think I just got lucky. One of those things where you pick the right way the first time.
Okay.
With this fish load that I have, and Mike talked me into the bog, the wetland filter, and it's worked great. I mean, the water's, with the exception of all the rain lately that's clouded it up a little bit, this thing's crystal clear all the time with that fish load, which is pretty heavy for the gallon.
And you've actually been to Japan to pick out your fish.
Every one of these came from Nagata. Yeah. So I picked them all out by hand. They all got shipped to me, through my broker, if you will. Great trip, once a lifetime experience. So I figured if we're gonna do a pond of this magnitude, you have to kind of match the koi to it. I'm a koi enthusiast, so clearly with the t-shirts, right?
I love it. Okay, I can't wait to see it when the rain stops out there. This is the filter. So in a traditional Japanese koi pond, you would see bead filters, you would see canisters, you would see all sorts of different things. This is the filter in an aquascape ecosystem.
The water is pumped down to the bottom of this wetland, and then it slows that water down and it percolates up through all that gravel.
And then the plants, you got the snorkel and centipedes, the gravel, the plants, upflow filter flows down into the pond. So you bought this in 2016, and 2017 you already started doing this. You knew what you wanted to do.
First thing we did.
Yeah, my kind of guy. And so you actually dug out that earthen pond back there?
That's right, yeah. So the front edge of the pond was actually woods. That was a wood line. The tree house was existing. The tree house was about 20, 30
Are you
yards
serious?
in the woods. Yep.
You like the tree house, dude?
It's got TV and everything. So
wow, this is a backyard paradise. You got the best of both worlds. You got the pool and you got the pond with some awesome fish, just bruisers down there. Wow, so that's actually 5 feet deep, huh?
Just short. Yep. 4.5
feet or so?
Yeah.
Some gorgeous, gorgeous fish. All pretty close to the same size.
Yeah, the biggest one's about 30. The Yamabuki's 30 inches and the Kagoi's like 29.
Do you know what the Yamabuki is?
It's Big Bird. What color is that one?
Even I know that. It's the yellow one right there. That's Big Bird, huh?
They all have their own names for sure.
Right. This is just terrific. This is one of the things about people that don't want to put rocks and gravel is they don't want to have anything that could potentially hurt the fish, but the fish have been just fine since then, right? After you unboxed it?
Yeah, no other fish that I know of have any marks from the rock and stuff.
These are lucky fish. You got an automatic fish feeder, huh?
That's right, yeah.
How often do you feed them?
Twice a day. Heavily feed just because, you know, I'm into the growth of them and I want them to get big, and the filtration system seems to handle it just fine. I feed them probably more than I should, but that's just because I want the growth. And we have wall jets in here as well to keep a current going in there.
Okay.
Koi are a river fish, and that builds their muscles, and they always have something to swim against.
Mike, did you put jets in? So you just plumbed it with the pump that feeds the jets?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So while here in Michigan we love working with Michigan fieldstone, we also love to work with this weathered limestone. And this area right in here is exactly why, you know, the different plants, the creeping plants and the moss really can take off and grow into that area, which just adds to the natural look of the water feature. So look at those amazing koi. It's too bad that we can't see them a little better. It was just basically pouring cats and dogs out here, so we've gotten a little bit of cloudiness in the water, but that was actually the story in the construction of this job. It was a lot of rain days. We had some absolute monsoons to contend with when we were building this water feature. So here we have a 20 by 17 by 4.5 foot deep koi pond. It's all weathered limestone, really cool rock we like to work with. We have a wetland filter, 2 centipede wetland filter up top there with about an 8 foot long waterfall, and then a 13-foot stream which has been dug down so that the fish can actually swim into the stream, go under the bridge, and go right up to the edge of the waterfall. This particular pond here with liner and underlayment, skimmer and fill valve, wetland filter, pump, and all the rocks, approximately 60,000 pounds worth of rocks. All of that would put you in the neighborhood of about $45,000 to have this beautiful work of art in your backyard.
The reason that Brad is living the aquascape lifestyle with giant traditional koi is because he got introduced to aquascape and then he fell in love with the koi. And so many times, and I really want to make this as an important point in this message, so many times people think that you cannot have big, beautiful fish in an aquascape ecosystem pond. But you can, because the wetland filter is a fantastic filter, and these fish actually grow up in mud and rock bottom ponds in Japan where they come from. But there's a big divide in the hobby where people believe that you put rock and gravel in a pond, it actually is going to potentially be harmful for the fish because of bacteria. These fish are river-based fish. They have whiskers. They like to root around in the bottom of a pond. And so actually gravel, I'm gonna put a link to Ed the Pond Professor, who is every Saturday on his YouTube channel, and he's got a great explanation of what rock and gravel do and why it's healthy for the fish to have it. It's just a paradigm shift with people thinking that you have to have a sterile bottom, you have to suck all the nutrients out, and you have to filter it outside. Where we let the nutrients break down, a wetland filter breaks them down, and you can have big, beautiful koi with that. I am not in the business of selling rock and gravel. I'm in the business of manufacturing filters, pumps, liners, all of the things that go into building it. But I can tell you in all honesty that when you put in the rock and gravel, it's healthier for the fish. The fish are more active, they graze on the gravel, and that's what it's about. To me, it's about the enjoyment of the hobby. And so even though we don't sell rock and gravel for our ponds that we manufacture, we always install rock and gravel because it's part of a full-blown ecosystem. Don't take my word for it. Take a limnologist, a degreed limnologist, and been with me for 28 years and been doing this. I'm gonna put the link below for that. But if you guys are curious or worried or anything about these things, please ask your questions, because I'm a hobbyist too. I want people to have the best experience with their water features, which is why I do these vlogs. And I can honestly tell you it's a healthier ecosystem-based pond with less maintenance with rock and gravel. People say you have to clean them out once a year. I'd rather clean a pond out once a year than backflush a filter once a week, which is what a traditional koi pond is done. So choose whatever style you want to, but don't ever say that you can't do it the Aquascape way with big fish. Brad's pond is a perfect example of a successful koi pond with big, beautiful koi from Japan. Oh boy, this is a little wet. What a compound.
So how ironic that it's we're here at this pond and it's raining, because when we were building this, it had monsoon rains on multiple days. It was really wet and mucky. It was a challenge, but it was well worth it, because look at this awesome water feature that has been constructed here. One of the really cool parts about this particular pond is that we dug out this stream through here so that the fish can swim all the way up to the base of the waterfall, and put in this really cool walking bridge so people can go back and forth. And it's really cool to see the fish swim under the bridge and hang out in this area and feed on some of the particles coming off the waterfall.
So you put bass in here and you also put some of your koi offspring?
Yeah, koi offspring are the ones that didn't make the cut. I actually had two that I got from in Japan that just look good enough, I think, for the show pond, so they came out here. I have people in the community that know me that I do koi, and if they're getting rid of some larger fish, you know, I'll take them and throw them in here because I know they'll have a big 8-acre home, you know.
So here they're coming up. I can see some koi in here. Basically, this is a koi rescue.
This is a koi rescue, yeah.
So how many total fish you think you got in here?
I have no clue, but there's a lot more than what are going to come up. It's pretty incredible.
So it's mostly koi in here.
It is mostly koi, yeah. And you know, the bass and stuff like that are there really to keep population control, and it's fun to fish them.
You're doing with the blue dye. Let's get you a giant wetland filter right over there on the bank behind you, and let's get this thing clear.
You know how many times Mike has said that?
Yeah. So what's stopping you, bro?
Well, electric bills maybe. I'm not sure, but it might be in the future. It might be in the future.
What? Wouldn't you like to have crystal clear water here? All right, whatever she wants.
If you got a Ferrari, you don't worry about gas price.
There you go.
Yeah, this is a pretty nice setup. I like it, and yeah, I would love to see this with crystal clear water. Now, is this earthen or liner?
This is completely earth.
Yep.
Yep, natural water table, clay bottom. So it stays very, you know, nice and blue. But I do the extra blue dye just to keep the weed control down.
Yep.
To some level.
But let's fill the banks with all sorts of aquatic wetland plants. Let's put a nice stream and a waterfall right over there and make this thing crystal clear for you.
It's a good idea.